and I'm going to start the workshop with your video.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Stewart. I am an instructor, child development instructor at Rio Hondo College, and I also work at a nonprofit in Los Angeles. And I want to engage you in a conversation, not just a presentation, but a conversation surrounding self-care, emotional and mental and physical wellness. We're going to start out with a Avenger video, and then we'll move forward from there. So if you can, tune in. I want to give the background scene of this video. It is the Avengers Endgame, and it is where Captain America is facing the onslaught alone. So I'll leave it there.
Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
Is that everyone?
What, you wanted more?
Avengers!
give me that. You have the little one.
Thank you. So I don't have any faces, but I am going to need your input in this conversation. So I wanted to first start off by saying I am an Avengers fan for sure. And that's like my favorite scene in that movie. And you might wonder, what does that have to do with self-care? And what I'd like to ask you to consider, if you are in a dark place, a hard place, a very challenging place in your journey, whether it's work, school, or if you're a teacher or educating in an educational profession, who do you know that without a shadow of a doubt will show up to be with you in your time of need? Just kind of think about that reflectively. Who's on your personal Avenger team? Family. James Wu said family. Thank you. Anyone else? Feel free to unmute. This is not the typical presentation. I like engagement, involvement, friends, parents. Friends, thank you. Anyone else? And I'm asking that mentor, friends of circle, and families. And the reason why I'm asking that, because it's important on the one hand to know that we're supported and that in our times of struggle and dark times, we know that we're not alone. The other part is do we allow these people to come into our space when we're at these darkest points in our life? And you don't have to answer that one, but just kind of think about that. You know, you have people you can call who would be there in your time of need, the darkest time, the things that are feeling overwhelmed. Even when you stand up to face it like Captain America did in that scene, I assume that there was some challenges within itself, maybe even fear at some point when you see the masses that are headed towards you in this dark place. So in this dark place, we know from what you already were able to state that you have people there. The other question is to kind of reflect in yourself, but would I allow these people to come in and walk with me and be with me in this time? Sometimes we have different ways we respond to that. We may know we have it, but we may not be willing to have or take the support that's being given to us for various reasons. Now, I set that all up to say is I'm going to share my screen to kind of journey through a few slides. And I am a more of an engaging person. I like to conversate and hear what other people are thinking. And so feel free to unmute yourself if you have something you want to share or say, because that's the meat, I feel, and that's the value of this type of workshop. So the title, if I had a title, would be called Building a Path, of Resilience for Educators and Students. And literally anyone, especially in the times that we're in. And I'm sure most of you know that LAUSD has gone on strike. I was a former employee of LAUSD years ago. I also found out the organization I'm working for is getting ready to lay off people. And there's a lot of people facing dark moments, dark times, and already feeling spent for some people. Is that resonating with anyone before I move forward? Is anyone else feeling like just stretched, stressed, overwhelmed? What are we feeling like? You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat. What are we feeling like in these days? Unless you all are doing the self-care thing very well. Are we feeling anyway? You can put it in the chat if you like. Working a lot of hours, trying to manage school and work, family, what else? Sometimes, okay? All right, so I'm going to move on. Let's see. So in this movie of the Avengers, I learned a lot of things, and I learned that oftentimes, I don't know that you can see that, but oftentimes educators are called superheroes. And even though they're not paid like superheroes, but they are considered superheroes, and superheroes in the world of Avengers are very valuable, although they were also criticized and judged for a lot of things. But some things I learned about educators, much like superheroes, is that superheroes get tired. Superheroes have needs and wants. Superheroes experience every human emotion and are not immune to trials and tribulations. Superheroes are heavily dependent on and minimally supported in time of need. Superheroes face moments of darkness. Superheroes need us, our love and support. Superheroes need to be poured into and replenished. Superheroes need rest, and superheroes are resilient. So that being the framework, I'd like to acknowledge that all of you at some point may be a superhero. You may have a whole family dependent on you, needing your resources, your support, financially, mentally, emotionally. Some of you may be parents. Some of you may be just students trying to balance every part of your life. And there's a lot to that. Okay. I see some people had some feedback, but I want you to keep in mind that superheroes do get tired, and as humans, we get tired. And some things we have been through these past few years have been anything but light. And I have this picture here because the majority of people that I know, and I don't know about you, but we tend to wear multiple hats. Educators wear multiple hats, students wear multiple hats. People right now are wearing multiple hats. Do you mind enlightening me? What do you feel like some of your multiple hats are? If you can name them in the chat. And let's see, what would some of those hats be for you? One of my multiple hats would be I work multiple jobs because I need multiple incomes because I am single. Anyone else? Moms, dads, uncles, taking care of elderly parents. What hats are you wearing? Someone wrote, I see people writing. James, thank you. I work multiple jobs too. Being a parent, a grandmother, children needs to, and health issues. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Instructional aid for kids with autism, that's a lot. That is a lot. Anyone else? Those multiple hats. Taking care of my grandpa, his dogs, while having to work on my courses. Yes. 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 And although the Avengers in their movie, they made it all look good. They made it look really good. You know, in those superhero moments, flying, taking off, saving the day. But if you're taking care of siblings. Thank you. If you watch the Avengers movie, all of them have a backstory, a very human backstory. Like one of the ones I most recently watched and thought about was Wanda. Those of you who don't know Wanda, there was this whole series called WandaVision. And it, in the video I watched, it kind of displayed and went back over her life and how she met the Avengers. And from the time she came on the first scene of the movie, which was Avengers Age of Ultron, all the way up to WandaVision, she had, and even being a part of Doctor Strange's new movie, she experienced multiple traumas back to back to back. So she had a lot of grief and loss. Same with Thor, a lot of loss, family secrets, all these things that the Avengers experience in their humanness, not their superhero, but their humanness. And so I want to bring that to this conversation today. I do get a sense that we're going to be doing a lot more chatting and maybe a lot more listening, but this is really engaging. So I do invite you to unmute and share, because I do want this to be a place of safety and bravery and the courage to name some of those things. And thank you for those who did name the multiple hats that you wear. It's bringing them into acknowledgement that this is real, this is happening, this is what I'm dealing with. And so going back to the Avengers, it's interesting because all of them have a backstory and all of them experience some form of grief, loss, even trauma in some cases, detached relationships with parents. It was just a lot. So thinking about that in the movie and thinking about where we are in our humanness, whether students, educators, or whatever, we experience life. And I'm going to move forward from there. And I am going to touch a little bit about us moving through the pandemic. Why am I mentioning that? Because while some people may have been able to successfully move forward and process a lot of parts of the worldwide pandemic, it seems to still be showing up, even though we're in a different time. We're still, I don't believe we're out of it. Some people may feel differently, but it's still a thing. In that time frame, everyone experienced it, just experienced it differently. And now that we're at this stage, there's been so many things that have happened over the course of time that it has left little to no room for people to even process everything. We won't dive into what people experienced, but there was a lot of loss, and not just loss of lives. There was a loss of events, of emotions, of life-changing events, culminating events, graduation, all these things. Loss in almost completing your degree and having to take some time off to take care of families, loss of jobs or businesses. There was a lot. And so now that we're here, some of us may have processed that, some may have not. But where are you? You don't have to share, but where are you in just being? Are you kind of going on autopilot and you just haven't stopped yet? Have you acknowledged that you have some things that you need to sort out and process, because whatever the stressors are, they're taking a toll on your health, mental health, emotional, physical, your relationships? We want to really kind of sit back and think about this, because those things affect our everyday life. They affect our relationships. They affect if we allow people to help us when we're in need. James, did you want to share?
Oh
No?
Sorry, I accidentally unmuted myself. I'm sorry. What was also what I'm sorry. What was the question?
Mhm. Well, if the question is if you can just sit with yourself and think about some of the things that you endured during the pandemic and still maybe enduring now, you don't have to share it, but just kind of consider, because that could be added on to the stressors you're already feeling in the current day. And it may mean that we need to step back from some things and look at some things in our life, if you will. Let me move forward.
Yeah.
So, like current stressors.
Yeah. For me, I kind of stress about the future. Like,
Mhm.
there are so many uncertainties, and I try to my best to make to plan and make calculations, but it's pretty like uncertain. So yeah, well, it's yeah, and I'm also feel like I still haven't found out what I want to do yet. So that's like kind of stressing me out a little, but I believe that I'll eventually figure everything out for myself.
Mm. Thank you for sharing, James, and thank you for naming it. It's important that we name it because it does, for some, it gives a release. I think the other thing, and I thank you for sharing that, is the uncertainty of things. And I don't know about everyone else, but since the pandemic, it's kind of felt like just uncertainty, like the worst roller coaster ride ever. And I don't know if that's just me. If it's not just me, you can raise your hand or put an emoji up, just say, me too, and maybe you're not there. But I know for me, it's felt like this roller coaster, the worst roller coaster ride ever. But I think it's important to name our stressors, because sometimes we get caught, some of us, we be appealing the thought processes of no negativity, only positive vibes. And that would be great in a perfect world, but there actually is place for both. But the key is how we take care of ourselves in the process. And so even though negative experiences come, they have their place. I will say they have value, even though it may not feel like it. But what I want to challenge you on is to think about, how do you care for yourself? Or are you only taking care of other people? Or your puppy, your dog children, your cat children? Are you pouring out and giving in such a way, but you're not really getting what you need, or giving yourself what you need in the process? And if you can type something in the chat box, do you have a self-care plan? How do you self-care? Or do you know this is a place where I need to make improvements on? Where are we in that? Don't worry, I'll wait. I know we only have about an hour, but okay, the gym, good. Anyone else? Where else? How do you self-care? And if you don't self-care, you can say that too. Again, we want to try to have a structure to revisit and reflect each day before going to bed. Okay, some reflection time. Good, good. And I brought that up because sometimes we do have an imbalance. Not everyone, but some of us do, especially depending on our family dynamics. And I just want to bring remembrance to taking care of ourselves and what that may look like. And in the emergency situation, as you know, sometimes we're taking care of so many people and we're pouring out and giving out and giving out and giving out and giving out. And we don't even realize that how much we're giving out and how much we need. And we end up depleted and we start having feelings like resentment or anger or frustration or extremely tired. And one thing, as you know, if you've ever been on an airplane or ever traveled, they tell you to put on your oxygen mask first before helping someone. And for some reason, we have that, and I think we understand it because we're in flight. And they even tell mothers and parents who have young children on there to put their mask on first before they put their child's mask on. And I've heard many people say, even if that was the case and something happened, they would still risk their lives to put the mask on someone else. And so then my question becomes, why? Are we willing to endanger ourselves in light of offering ourselves help and support to better be able to help someone else? Just thinking about that. Let's move on. Let's see. I won't show the videos about chronic stress, but I do want to share that it's real. So the result of unaddressed stress is compassion fatigue. It is a state experienced by those helping people or animals in distress. It is an extreme state of tension and preoccupation with the suffering of those being helped to the degree that it can create a secondary traumatic stress for the helper. So in the context of being an educator or working to support others, if you're a caregiver at home, maybe elderly parents, or if you're in a profession or at a job where, like someone said, they work with children with autism, that can be very stressful. And sometimes those children come from different types of family. And in our passion and as part of our why to help others, we don't realize that over time, when we're not taking care of ourselves, we become we have compassion, but it becomes fatigued and tired and stressed. And then every little thing kind of sometimes irritates or frustrates. And in some cases, you just don't want to show up for work. And then there's burnout. And according to Psychology Today, burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress and can be linked to depression. So I want to kind of stop right there. Has anyone heard of those two terms before I move on? You can just simply raise your hand or thumbs up. Burnout and compassion fatigue, also known as secondary trauma. Monica, you've heard of it. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. And so I'm just going to spend a little time talking about it, is that it is a real thing. And to care for others in a long-standing time, along with stress that you may already be carrying or grief, whatever it is, it just kind of adds on and adds on. And the reason for this workshop is to bring light to it and to begin to acknowledge what you're feeling, what you're sensing. Like stress, like there's different levels of stress, and stress sometimes can be, for the most part, is unavoidable, but the repeated onslaught of stress or the repeated giving out in support of others that may be having challenges, or even like children you may work with or students or whoever, it takes a toll on you. But I want to also ask this: did anyone grow up with parents that understood or took or had self-care for themselves? Was it modeled to you? You don't have to answer that, but I want to put that out there because sometimes we do walk out what's modeled to us. So, for example, I have family members that didn't really know about self-care. I see you. It was always about do, work, survive. And so that's what I saw. That's what it was modeled to me. And so I only here recently have been learning about and talking about and spreading the words and encouraging people to look into what self-care means. And before you can really get to the root of self-care, we got to weed through some things, like acknowledging what we're feeling. Do you feel like it's burnout? Do you feel like it's compassion fatigue? Is it a never-ending onslaught of stressors? Are you feeling overwhelmed? What is that for you? And so you don't have to share it, but just name it. If you have a piece of paper or something like that, or a book, name it. That's going to be the one thing, is when you name it, then you can start to tame it and look at how to take care of you better. Monica says, didn't learn what self-care was till high school. Great. And it is very important for us to know and apply, not just at any given profession, but I do advocate for it for the education profession. I think it needs to be instilled in all the preparation classes to become a teacher, to become an educator, or to work in the field of caring for others. Anyone else? And I think I'm going to go on. We're looking at the time. So some symptoms of compassion fatigue, and they're very general, but there are some things to consider: tired, reduced, or inability to empathize, frequent headaches, muscle tension, reduced concentration or focus, avoid decision-making, a lot of brain fog. That was me. Burnout is irritability, frustration, extreme exhaustion, anger, you withdraw from things, pessimism, job dissatisfaction, and even symptoms of depression. Judgment, lack of empathy, blaming, inflexibility, control, misuse of power and privilege, explicit and implicit biases kind of amp up. Communication and listening skills kind of decrease. Assumptions, lack of boundaries, hero or savior syndrome, and even bullying. So I want to get to the self-care, the path of resilience. I won't do the video, but I did want to talk about, as I mentioned, do you self-care and how do you self-care? And so one thing I'd like to mention is that self-care is a way of living that incorporates behaviors that help you refresh yourself, replenish your personal motivation, and grow as a person. It is vital. It is a vital part of maintaining good health and a vibrant life. Building up a repertoire of reliable self-care habits now can affect the quality of life today and in the future. You can begin building self-care into your lifestyle by setting a goal for yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So we don't have enough time, but I would love one day to kind of hear what's the differences that you think would be between self-care and self-maintenance. At some point when we're entering into a new journey of self-care, for those of us who may be unfamiliar to it, it has a lot to do with the inward parts that affect our overall being. I spoke with at another event. She's a doctor and she is a licensed therapist, and she made the distinction between self-maintenance and self-care. For example, she mentioned how we start at any place we can to begin taking care of ourselves. Things she mentioned that might be more of a self-maintenance, things like getting your nails done. I get my nails done. That's not really part of my self-care, but it does make me feel good. I like to get pedicures. Anyone else? What else do you like to do for your self-care or self-maintenance, we'll call it? Do you like to get your hair done? Do you like to go to the beach? Haircut? Yes. Someone else said they go to the gym. Do you like going to just be at the beach by yourself, go to the park, or do you even go out by yourself? What are we doing? My self-care is also dye my hair with my mom, untangle my hair every day, play Scrabble. Okay. So now, if you can, and if you're willing to share, that's great. Think about that. When you're doing those things, how do you feel inside? Does it feel like it's calmed any worries or anxiety? Does it feel like it's decreased maybe some of the thoughts, anxious thoughts, intrusive thoughts? Do you get a sense that your muscle tension is down? Do you feel more focused and energized? Just think about it. Relaxing and less worry. It's nice to get away and de-stress as I talk to my nail technician. Okay, great. Just to kind of zone out. Does anyone do any type of walking or mindfulness or breathing? Anyone do that? Right. So here's a little note. Don't know if any of you know that, but Tai Chi for the body movement. Awesome. Yes. When there's high levels of stress or you're experiencing compassion fatigue or burnout, what you may not notice is your breathing changes. Walking, great. And when our breathing changes, it usually shortens. And so our body is literally not getting the breath that it needs when we're in high stress or repetitive or overwhelming situations. Has anyone noticed that about themselves? Just kind of think about it. Or does the thoughts kind of come raging in your mind and you get a lot of worry about that? Just think about it. And Teresita, when you walk, does that help you in your mind and your body relax? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel the thoughts maybe drifting away? I do walk my dogs too. Yes, she said yes. All right. Moving on. And so I just had this little self-care chart that I got. Sorry, moved too fast. And just some ideas on how to self-care for your physical Are there any ones that you notice that you already do? Are there any ones that you're thinking maybe I should do? I'll tell you one for social that I stopped for a good month and a half, almost 2 months, and I only go on there minimally now, is that I noticed social media was having a really negative effect on me. So I decided to step away from it a little bit, and it did me a lot of good. So I have learned to set my time frames on how often I view social media. Because for some of us who I'm not on TikTok, but I'm sure some of you are on TikTok. It's like a never ending. You're on there for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, you're on there for 5 hours. So I've heard many people say that. So let's see, just listen to educational podcasts. Oh, awesome. Does anyone have a sacred space, time alone? Emotional. How do you do it? What are your coping skills? Do you journal? Do you have hobbies? Do you paint? These are just some great ideas that I wanted to share with you that may be, if you have a self-care routine, it may be that maybe you need to revisit your self-care routine, because maybe it might be time for an upgrade. It's been difficult to set social boundaries without people getting offended. Yes. And sometimes that does happen. And it's happened to me. And I think there's ways to set boundaries. And I try to set boundaries in love. That's just me. And so the other person may not feel that it's love on their end because it limits things that they can do and how they say and how they treat me in certain ways. But in my heart, I still want you, as in a relationship with you or a family or whoever. It's just these are kind of going to have to be the guidelines. And sometimes, they're going to get offended, and sometimes people cross boundaries. But it is important for us to stay consistent with what we value and feel is true and is a form of self-care for ourselves. In education, it's the same way. Our teachers go over and beyond all the time, and they've been through a lot. Even in the pandemic of teaching, and just so much has happened with them that there's this imbalance of I'm still working and giving out. And now for some of them, financially, they can't make ends meet. But yet they're our superheroes. Thank you for sharing that, because boundaries is a form of self-care. Someone said, I'm not good at working out at the gym alone, but I am able to take advantage of Zumba class. So it helps me de-stress when I go to Zumba. Awesome. And those are just some great ways. And for some, jumping into something new may take a little bit. So be gentle with yourself. One thing I've learned about self-care for some people may, depending on culture or your family, it's selfish. I've had a student tell me that they implemented self-care for themselves because they were literally getting sick and no one could understand or accept why she needed self-care until she got physically sick and could not do the things that her entire family were accustomed to her doing. And it's sad that we almost have to justify by our physical ailments or sickness for someone to understand I need to take care of myself. When with practice, we begin to take care of ourselves first. And that requires some different thinking, some unlearning and relearning of a lot of things. And one of those things is the value of self. And self-care requires, in my opinion, a lot of self-compassion and a lot of self-love. And some levels we may be at different places, but the thought of self-compassion is something that may be a little bit unsure for some people. but it is something that leads and helps leads the way to radical self-care without having to defend the judgments or the criticisms of other, or even our own internal talk that says, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. I know we have them. Think about it. You don't have to share. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing this. You got this, you got this, you got this. They're dependent on you. You're lazy. All these horrible things sometimes comes up in the effort for us to, as we make the effort to take care of ourselves. And so we have to be gentle with ourselves and deal with ourselves in a compassionate way. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any thoughts before I move on? We're almost finished. And I want to share this final slide with you. So, benefits of self-care: increased joy and peace, deeper breathing, relaxation, self-compassion, ability to extend compassion and empathy to others, increased ability to engage and connect, increased energy, increased sense of gratitude, rekindle passions, increased ability to zoom out or see the bigger picture, and you're much more pleasant. And let's see, I think that's it. So I wanted to share with you a few examples of self-care templates. Now, I teach at Rio Hondo, and all my classes and even the mentees I work with, they have an opportunity to do a self-care wheel. And I start that at the very beginning, the very first class. I do something similar of a presentation about self-care because I want to infuse students with the idea of taking care of yourself throughout the semester for the long haul, because education takes a lot. And for some students that are taking full loads, I was one of those undergrad students that was taking up almost 20 units a semester because I was trying to hurry up, but I wasn't taking care of myself. And so here's a sample of a self-care, pre-filled self-care wheel with some ideas. And then I have these self-care plan examples. And my students and even my mentees, I give them a copy of it, and I allow them to create their own self-care plan as a written, real plan, not just at the spur of the moment, I'll do this and I'll do that. Why do I say plan? Because it's easier for some to commit yourself to something in writing versus something that's kind of in your head or in your, I'll get to it. It doesn't get prioritized the same, especially if you have people coming to you saying, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, and do this. And sometimes in our hearts, we want to help everyone, but we have to have that same passion to help ourselves. So in that, I'd like to say, superheroes, you have real life experiences. Please don't neglect taking care of yourself. Mentally, if it's spiritually for you, whatever that looks like for you, physically, emotionally, mentally, socially, relationally, whatever works for you, please try to prioritize taking care of yourself. And that's it. Any thoughts, any aha moments, any reflections? And if you'd like to get a self-care template, I can send it. I can have them send it out to you so you can prepare one for yourself, and maybe you can bring it up to your mentors as an option. Like I said, my mentees, everyone I've gotten, we are doing a self-care plan from the beginning. So I have one message. Yes, thank you. Okay, I'll make sure we get that out to you. And so the next meeting, if I see you guys there, I'm going to probably private message you and ask you, how's your self-care plan going? Yes, because part of self-care is having someone there to support you and love you through it and keep you accountable to take care of yourself. So you get that from me. and I'm going to put a big smile. And that concludes. If you have anything you'd like to say to me, or I'm here